Sandy, my 13-year-old Labradoodle, is helping me with Drone Tip Tuesday. Today's tip is to get really low. Most people, when they fire up their drone, they just immediately fly up to 200 or 400 feet and then they just kind of wander around with the drone. And I know, like, the whole point is it flies, right? But you might be a lot happier with your shots if you get down low and especially break the line of the horizon with your subject. So here are some tips for flying nice and low. Instead of flying way above trees, fly closer to them. This will add a lot more depth to them. By getting closer to subjects, it also means you can fly slower because you'll see the same amount of movement that you would if you were flying much, much faster at a higher speed. But be safe. Flying low is much more dangerous. You're much more likely to crash into a person. It's a little counterintuitive. People think flying high is dangerous because then their drone, if it fails, will have much more velocity. And well, that can be true. But if you're at 200 feet, there's not too much of a chance that you'll crash into anything. But the lower you get, the more likely you are to hit something, lose control, and then hurt somebody. So be a good pilot first. Go through my entire tutorial where I teach you to, say, fly backwards and fly in circles and fly in figure eights, and that will help you a lot. But also put prop guards on your drone, because then if you do bump into something, the damage it takes will be a lot less. Also, the prop guards will sometimes get into your shot, so that's kind of a bummer, but it's a lot better to occasionally lose a shot than to actually hurt somebody. When you're flying low, watch for changes in the terrain. If you're flying along a road, there might be a gradual increase in the height that you wouldn't even notice if you were just walking it, but your drone isn't going to track that height. It's going to fly at the same level relative to sea level. So if it's flying at 10 feet and the road goes up 10 feet, you know what? You're going to crash into the road. Same thing with flying over the trees. You can be flying above 50-foot trees and then there'll be a particularly tall tree or an antenna or something. So I suggest keeping the camera up and flying the entire route so you can see ahead of you before adjusting the camera. And be in a position where you can really see what the altitude of the drone is relative to the ground. Sometimes it helps to be to the side rather than directly in front of it or behind it. Running low on batteries. It helps to be low and close, but if you can't get that close to your subject for safety reasons, then you can crop in post. That's one reason I like drones like this 4K Phantom 4 Professional, because I can publish in full HD and crop basically 2x. Cropping in post allows me to compose tighter without actually risking anything. Hope this tip was helpful. Subscribe to see more tips every week, and check out my book, Stunning Digital Photography, where I teach you the basics of composition, light, camera settings, things like the aperture and the f-stop and the exposure compensation. That's all really critical. You can't just figure out how to work your hardware. You have to actually learn the art of it. And while you're at it, check out my other drone tutorials where I'll get you your Part 107 certification so you can make some money from this gig and teach you how to fly. Thanks.